Hi, I'm Gugu Zulu, a racing driver for the Volkswagen squad and also director for Gas Sports.
Awesome.
What are my job titles? I think I've got probably a couple. I think one of them is that I moonlight as a racing driver over the weekends. But come Monday to Friday, I'm director for Gas Sports, which is an events company that looks after superbike racing in South Africa. And our main offering is really tailored toward the motorsport scene. We've been involved in terms of managing motorsports events, particularly the international events in South Africa, for the last probably 12, 13 years. But as a company, I think we're just about 2 years old. My career path, yeah, it's not your typical career path that one would follow. You know, when you grow up, your parents want you to be a doctor or a lawyer. But in my case, I wanted to be a racing driver. And the question is, where do you go to be a racing driver? There's no college as such, particularly in South Africa. But then I followed the sports side of things, the understanding of what sports business is and how that gets handled, you know. So hence I decided to do sports management. And at least it gave me a background in terms of sponsorship and marketing of sports as a whole, and that aided me very well in terms of A, understanding myself as a brand within the sport, and B, as a competitor, and translating my brand as Gugu Zulu into a business venture as well. So yeah, I think it's not a typical route, but I ended up going to varsity and doing sports management, and then entering the business side of things from day one, not only as a racing driver but also as a businessman. Yeah, tertiary education has been very important in terms of obviously executing my duties in the industry that we're in. Thankfully, you know, sports it's a fun activity. It's not something that's really stringent, but you need to understand the marketing aspect of it to be able to stay relevant and keep up with the times. So certainly the studies have helped me and aided me to be a better person and be well equipped to be able to adapt to the situation. You know, motorsports and sponsorship, you need to understand what's happening and see it from a marketing point of view and the business element of it. Because it's not just about, hey, I like you, I'm going to put a brand on your car and sign you a check. It doesn't work that way. There's business to business dealings that need to go in place, and you need to have a return on investment for whoever is sponsoring you. So being able to understand that element and how it works and that business model, very critical, and hence studying has certainly aided me in terms of doing my deals. Yeah, you know, careers, there are many careers out there, and one thing while growing up I've always said to myself is that if I'm going to do a job and do it for the rest of my life, it's got to be fun, it's got to be something that I want to do. There's nothing worse than waking up in the morning and, you know, not being keen on going to work because you hate the job that you're doing. I've been fortunate in that I've always wanted to be in motorsports as a racing driver, but also wanted to go to the business element of it. And in South Africa, it's not all about money, unfortunately, because it's still seen as a hobby and it's not an industry as such. Therefore, making money out of it is not the driving factor. You end up, as I said, you're moonlighting as a racing driver. You don't get paid to race in this country. You get a pat on your shoulder to say, hey, well done, over the weekend you won a trophy, would be. But now you must go and find more budget to come back and race. So it's not all glam, it's not all glitz and glam and ka-ching all the time. But we make it work, you know, and I think the main thing is the fact that I wake up in the morning and I'm in the industry that I love, and it's in motorsports, and it's something that I'm pushing, you know, and yeah, I'll take the sacrifice. I left a very lucrative line of work, that is IT, and during that time, IT in 97 was probably the biggest thing where everyone was going. It was a big boom, and yeah, I gave all that up. But I chased the dream, and I'm still happy, I'm still smiling. But yeah, I don't have that Ferrari downstairs. My very first job. My first job was actually delivering pizzas for debonaires.
So you always behind the steering wheel.
And it was behind the steering wheel, and of course the pizzas were never late. They're always hot. And I think the one thing that kind of drove me towards it was like, you know what, you get to dress up and look really funky and cool. And I damn made that whole look very good. You know, I had the frame, looked the part, and then I got into my jalopy. But one thing for sure, the pizza was always hot.
Who were you driving?
I wanted to drive. What else, man? Wow. Yeah, three key things that will make one be successful in terms of what I'm doing currently, or what are my three things. I think first you gotta be professional in everything that you do. You know, it boils down to the basics of keeping time and being true to your word and sticking to your word. I think that's something that you need to do. You gotta have thick skin. There are many disappointments along the way. There are many times you knock on the door, you're talking about sponsorship and you're looking for money and support, and you get that door closed in your face. So thick skin is a must. Without it, then you're not going to be able to survive. And also you need to be able to adapt. Adapting to change, which is constant. It's, you know, if you don't go with the times, you'll fall behind, and once you fall behind, you're obsolete and therefore not relevant. So adapting is a key component which I highly recommend to everybody, and in whatever industry. It's not just about motorsports, it's not about just the marketing aspect, but in whatever you do, you need to adapt to the conditions that you're in.